Can you get pleasure from pain? Does it hurt? Is it worth it? If you ask somebody with tattoos any of these questions, then the answer will most likely be yes. Now you might ask, how? Why? Who was first? I'd like to start by introducing to you guys Ozzy the Iceman. In 1991, Ozzy was found in the Italian side of the Ozo Alps, halfway frozen in ice. He was alive around 3300 BC, making him the first known human with tattoos. His tattoos were soot-based, and they were applied to his body using sharpened bone. Today, researchers document over 60 tattoos consisting of hashes and crosses on his body. Unbeknownst to Otzi, many nations throughout the history would expand on that original style and tools that he used. Some of these nations include Japan, Samoa, and America. Today, I'll take you through a brief history of the evolution of tattoo styles and tools used within the different cultures. Let's start with Japan, since they crafted a similar style to one in which Otzi would have used. Japan called tattooing irizumi. Their style was the Tsubori style, stick poking, where they used one hand to pierce and the other to stretch. They used sharpened ivory needles, split bamboo, and shell that could be used to distribute the Nara ink. A master of this could poke up to 5 times a second. The most prominent period of tattooing in Japan was the Edo period, which ranged around 1600 to mid 1800s. This came to the rise of the Yakuza clan, which names came from a card game, a combination of 8, 9, and 3, Yakuza, which was basically worthless in that game. But they took pride in that worthlessness because they accepted a role as outcasts. And by that, they would craft bodysuits in order to connect with one another. The bodysuits would start at the collar in an all over pattern, which sometimes would cover their bodies down to their ankles. And in death, they would remove their skin in order to preserve the tattoos. Now, like the Yakuza, the Samoans took pride in their culture as well. Now, Samoan tattoo was a rite of passage. Many people see those forms of tattoos and images as symbols of their inner strength and resilience, viewed with the cultural pride and identity as an adult in their community. Now, males will get a peya, also known as a flying fox, due to the dark charcoal color of the tattoo. It goes from the gut to the knee. Now, the navel design is very important and is called the poot. Without that, the tattoo is unfinished and the wearer will carry a sense of shame because he was not able to complete the ceremony. Some researchers associate the Peya and Malu with ideas of connected defense of the body as well as making it beautiful. The Malu, mostly for women, were designed of purely decorative elements and don't follow any specific pattern. The only thing that's consistent is the diamond shaped design called the Malu on the back of the knee. The Samoans use a stick poke method similar to that of the Japanese, except theirs required a little more assistance. The basic tools for their tattoo kit was comprised of the awl, the sao, the coconut shell mortar and pestle, which would be used to craft the tattoos. They would get the pigment from burning candle nut and mixing the soot with sugar water. Now the tufagu, the tattooer, would dip the comb section of the owl into the pigment and then strike it with the sao so that it would puncture and deposit the pigment into the skin, while kosos would stretch the skin and wipe away blood, the helpers. During the European exploration voyages of the late 18th century, Captain James Cook wrote about the practices of Tautau in Tahiti. Phonetically, the word Tautau, Tautau, resembles tattoo, in the English word for drumbeat. The association was probably reinforced by the sound that the tapping mallet made against the comb. Now, tattooing came to America by a man of old man Martin Hildebrandt. He was a German-born immigrant. He tattooed both sides during the German War. He bound together sewing needles in a slanted formation using India ink and cinnabar, which was a red pigment. That's how he would get the tattoos. He opened the first parlor in New York City in 1870, where he mentored Samuel F. O'Reilly, who patented the first electronic rotary tattoo machine in 1891, which was based off Thomas Edison's electrical pen design in 1876. That invention made tattooing faster, cheaper, and less painful, thereby making it available to a much wider audience. Now, although that machine is important, the safety of the client is important as well. So the final person I'm going to talk about is Norman Keith Collins, who got the nickname Sailor Jerry in the Navy before he moved to Hawaii in the 1930s. He was one of the first people to utilize single-use needles and use an autoclave for sterilization. He also developed his own pigment of purple ink called carbazole violet. Now, as you can see, since Otzi's time on Earth, many great countries have invented unique styles and tools for tattooing. The Japanese came up with the one-hand tabori method for the irezumi, while Samoans used family variant to complete their tattoos. Samurai's patent of the first electronic tattoo machine allowed tattoos to become more widespread than ever. The Yakuza in Japan use their tattoos to stand out from society. The Samoans use them to connect with their communities. Americans just like them because they look cool. Even though their reasons might be different, they all have one thing in common. They got a high pain tolerance. Now let's just give a final thank you to Sailor Jerry for creating the single-use needles. Because if you ever gotten a tattoo or know someone who's gotten a tattoo, you got to thank them for the fact that you did not die from an infection, unless you got like a no regrets tattoo. And that's the end of my presentation.